doing that, we're doing it to a grand scale. Key fobs will work like this. Two parties know the same piece of information, the time of day. When you push your key fob you're holding your hand, and it talks to your car's computer, the only thing they're exchanging there whatsoever is the idea of what time it is. They're establishing in microseconds what time they agree you press that thing. Internal to both of them, they have a set of what are called rolling codes. The rolling codes then are the C's, or the keys, however you want to look at it. It's done both ways. Both sides understand. And they know that if this thing was at the milliseconds, it usually parsed out just the milliseconds, but if the milliseconds is 999, it uses this entry in the table in a certain way to create the enciphering that says how the commands are processed, right? And so the key fob, you click the thing, you click another key, that says encode a signal that says open door, and in the encryption is pointed to by that contact point where you had conversation with the computer and you guys agreed what time it was. Go to see what time it is in milliseconds after that, right? Apply that timestamp and that thing. Now you're both on the same clock, so it goes back and says, okay, now it's 15 milliseconds later, use the rolling code, I just got the signal for open door, decrypt that, it says open code, that's the correct code, open the door. That's how that works.
Does it do any challenge response at all on the key fob to know where if it is?
On the time, it basically what it does is it ciphers the time, and there's a dance that it does, and we do something too. But you'd be more familiar with it.
No, I'm not. Believe me, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well,
he's deep into the surface level.
And my only point with that is that we just do that on steroids. What we are doing is we're saying, what can we see? What can your computer see for anything that's computer-centric? We look at what your intended purpose is. Right? With emails, we know it's coming back to you if it's a ricochet, so we're going to take everything from that computer to be right? But absent that, two parties are having a conversation. What can they see? Just in common. Pick out things from that. Their environment, it can be their Ethernet backbone. There's billions of commonalities. Even in your Windows operating system. You probably didn't know this, but 80% of the code that is in Windows XP is also in Windows 10. The libraries. If you go to the libraries that are placed in every single Windows operating system since Windows was ever born, there are certain libraries that are going to be there and they're going to have certain bytes in certain positions. I know that that's true and I know it's reliable because that's what we do. We know.
So you anchor off that then?
Anchor off thousands of things. That's one of the things we can do. We can look at your BIOS tag. If we know your BIOS tag is certain things, Dell computer, for example, stuff, we know certain things.
But I'm still not clear on, I get the point of where all my environment parameters are being used to do whatever my signature or my key left. But when I send it to him, he doesn't have the same environment. And I'm stuck because that's what you've used to generate whatever enciphering. So his environment is slightly different.
Right.
And then you went ricochet, so you lost me and all of that. So.
And that's where we're getting a little confused there. I think we're going to confuse it too.
Because
That's
it's
my
really key
fault.
to the whole process, right?
With the ricochet, you're sending to him a canned environment. It doesn't matter to him what it is. You're sending your canned environment over to him. Okay. Now, all he's going to do is not attach it, but he's going to his amulet. It's going to use that to encipher.
So he has to have amulet.
He has to have amulet.
Okay.
Right. He has to, okay.
That.
Okay. So now he's going to use that information, doesn't care what it is, as a giant 65K key. Of what you just sent him. It's just a massive key to him. He doesn't actually, what he does is a hash of that, and then use the other. So now he's got a unique key, right? Which, without him knowing it, or whatever, and you can verify, because he made it off of your stuff.
So then so there's some central service where amulet is capturing all of it, because in order to create trust, I have to know something unique. And my point, what I was trying to understand was because if I can attack you, and let's say I find out about amulet, okay, this is how they work. I've got 10,000 parameters and I study, slow study, I just wanted traffic. Oh, so he's using these 50 parameters. I could do the same 50 parameters and trick him into sending something to him, or trick this guy saying I know his footprint. That's my point. So in cryptographic encryption or key, if I have my private key with me, and you know, it's only good as where you store it, where you keep it. And as long as I have that secure, it's very difficult for a man-in-the-middle attack, right?
Okay, and let me answer that, because the man-in-the-middle is central to what we're doing here. It's actually central to this. The idea is, the reason we do it, what we do, okay, we send your information, now you're sending totality of that information, it's collapsed down, but it's been compressed. It's 5K of data, right?
No, what my point was, so what your method is now being used to do a lot of authentication, and that's the local company that's doing it here. And the point of that is, as you know this, the more expensive you make it for an attacker, the less time they want to spend.
That's the whole premise.
That's all, right? So if I can start to authenticate on my device ID, my GPS location, my gate, my signature, how I hold my phone, how I swipe, or what I do, all I'm doing is adding more barriers to somebody that makes it difficult with a determined state actor may want to do something. So that's, in the end, that's what it's all about. You know, that's what we do. So exactly, that's what I'm thinking.
It's the state actor that screwed all this up. Because they have the resources, because now it becomes asset focused.
They will.
He says, I'll spend 10 years and I'll put 10.
They'll do the sonar ping every 90 days just to see what you're doing. We should get that traffic as well too, like low noise and, you know, a billion lines of freaking monitoring and point the forensic, that's odd. I've got 3 dots in the last 3 years, so 3 months, that's odd. Started tracking it with a jump service to Sweden to Norway, I don't know where we ended up, but
I
anyway.
remember, what's that one in Russia that we saw?
Yeah, he eventually went to
Yeah,
Ukraine or something.
yeah. Okay, so anyway, but in
And
essence.
it is, state actors are like the Chinese Palestine, no, the Chinese Liberation Army, right?
Mhm.
People's Liberation Army, they're just gonna sit there and say, we're gonna get to know Mark, and we got 2
Well,
years.
Mhm.
It's okay, I got 2 years, that's my project every day, I get to see what you're doing.
Wow.
Well, and what you
And
don't
they'll
know
figure
is
it
that.
out.
That's very true.
Yeah,
Well,
well, that's,
what you don't really realize is there's a black market. I'm telling you, the thing that happens with knowing specific domains, for example, knowing the attack surface of IBM stuff. You go out and bid these services, you go to the darknet and there's services, the guy, I'm expert in IBM. So you hit something of a firewall, something that is blocking you, something you want to know that's germane to FireEye, for example.
so let me throw something else at you, so let's say we put blockchain into play here, and every time you create your cipher, you write onto the chain. You write onto the ledger, and now you've written on a unique ledger, or whatever ledger you want to call it. So now I've created a record of that, and I can encode it, I can hash that, and I can attest that was me, I send that back, you look back to the ledger, because breaking the ledger is going to be very difficult, especially if I have my keys signed. Wouldn't there be a simpler way to do this?
We
Why
don't-
still have that?
Yeah, that's not an appropriate, just so you know, not an appropriate, we attack individual assets, right? So, we.
Right, I get the asset protection, but I'm saying.
We protect the wallet, but we don't engage that part of it. We do the wallet, because the wallet's the weak point there.
It is, it's a
And
soft
that's,
wallet,
and that's where we shine, but we don't do that. Because there's no, for us as the content provider, in blockchain, there's a generic transaction, but there's no owner of that transaction per se. The only owner involved is a temporary possessor of a financial fiduciary item, right? There's no sense of in other words, I flow from owner to owner to owner to owner. That's the definition of a fiduciary item, right? I don't have an overarching owner. There is no content provided per se.
No, well, my point was that if you use an attestation model to sign versus this, then it makes it more difficult to break. You have to game a whole set of nodes in order for somebody to get that data. So that's slightly difficult, this selection.
Well,
More difficult to do.
I mean, I would like to have a discussion with you really on blockchain, because that's.
So the only place where I'm struggling, honestly, is, just cards face open, we're talking over here, is, I like the concept, I did even when I was looking at, I like the environmental parameters, but I think it's too complicated from that perspective, and I still haven't received some certainty about how a man-in-the-middle attack can be thwarted or not. I'm sort of struggling with that.
I'm struggling
Now,
with
forget
that.
the UI, and we can always fix the UI, we can make the UI a little better.
Okay, okay.
Because what is the value of this whole
There-
product? Is to protect my asset between 2 parties, right? That's what it really is,
But,
right?
and that's where I think you were going astray.
Okay.
In the case.
Why did you create this product then?
Well, the product is, as far as general purposes, to protect IP throughout its lifetime.
So wherever I distribute or where I hold it?
The content provider, wherever that goes from his level, just like you write a book, right? And wherever that goes.
You
whether
want
published or
legitimate
whatever.
resources getting it, you can track it, you wanna know. where it's
Exactly,
at,
we
right?
want Auto Trader went, so it's basically owner, essentially owner control, as it were. Under, obviously.
So basically, against piracy, right? You're protecting piracy, you're protecting it from people stealing your IP.
And when I give a bar access, right, unless he's got rewrite and create it, he's only getting access back to the source, right? He has to actually access that from, say, my computer, right?
No. No, these things are, because they're in cipher, because they're fail-safe, they can travel anywhere, go anywhere. So you're getting the actual, in other words, when we do this, when you see this, you already, that's assets on your
You
machine.
have to have AMUmail go to your machine.
Yeah, what you're getting, a digital asset actually in our world is expressed as two things. It's bifurcated into the fail-safe side and the non-authorized user preview section. Every digital asset we do. Now, you may not choose to, as a content provider, expose that. But that's where, when he was showing you that, what he's calling that header stuff, what that is, that's our view, a preview of the digital asset. So every digital asset travels just like it does today, except it doesn't need to be, inside in and out of servers, in and out of transporters, in and out of, it's always inside. So that, and so as he said, the framework, everything has to, if there's a weak point, if you're gonna attack something, it would be the framework. It is the framework that sits there and sets you right. If I was gonna game our system, just telling you, and we have defenses for this, and they lead to something, but if I was gonna game the system, I would put it at the framework. I would say, feed this amulet what it thinks it wants. If it wants my GPS location to be here, fine, intercept the reporting of the GPS and report where you want to be, right?
So the value, again, coming back to why the product was created, at least from my understanding, because you want to solve a business problem, right? And the unique part is the technology approach. So in the problem of asset protection and distribution, that's what I believe the problem is. How do I make sure that I, as the